Oh, to the Braxton?
I belong to the family with that picture.
Is that right? Is there a lot of thought that goes into publicity photos?
Oh, well, who does my pictures?
Uh-huh.
Rudy Calvo.
Uh-huh.
Rudy does shop. Patty LaBelle will send for him.
Uh-huh.
And he's been on the road with Jill Scott, so it's been fierce.
You were just throwing out names.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Tina Turner.
Tina Turner.
Michael Bolton.
Michael Bolton.
Celine Dion.
Celine Dion.
Christina Aguilera.
Christina Aguilera. Yeah.
Whitney.
Whitney, of course. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All you have you lend your vocals to.
Exactly.
I'm talking formerly known Jean McClain, now Peper Mashay. In 2001, I had the good fortune of being assistant to Mike Machiarello, the head of promotions here at Circuit Nightclub here in Chicago. That's my phone. Don't worry about that. And what had happened was that part of my duties were artist relations, and that portion of my job was heaven. Are you trying to get that?
I'm trying to turn it off. Hold on. Sorry.
That's Cheryl Lynn calling me. Okay. That is Cheryl Lynn calling me. So anyway, part of my job's duties were artist relations, and again, if that job was heaven, this was one of my angels. Now Peper Mashay, she aspired to be a rock and roll singer and songwriter.
I wanted to be mainly like a crossover artist for the first time, doing rock-oriented music. But what happened? Tina came on the scene, so that kind of just took away my little hope for that one moment. But she really opened up the door for a lot of people like us.
And so then, how did house music come into play?
Would you believe I was doing a show with Vonda Shepard, and that's the lady from Ally McBeal. I used to sing for her, and this guy from Sweden came to see one of her shows in Los Angeles, and came up to me after the show and told me, "You sing too good to be background singer."
Girl, now if I was Vonda Shepard, it'd be like, thank you, girl. Here's your check. And I will see you on the road. I'm not trying to make you famous. Right. No, so that was what. And what did he do? He just took you to Sweden?
He told me about dance music. I had no idea other than what I'd seen in movies or in clubs, but I didn't really hang at the discos in my career. I was always doing a lot of stage work singing. And what he told me, he says, you should get you a DJ, write the song, sing the song, and then go over to Europe and perform.
And that's what you did?
And I fell into it. 6 months later, I ended up on a tour when I was in this group called Voice Boxing. We actually went overseas to do our own promotional tour. I found him again 6 months later in Sweden.
Ain't that scary how the universe works?
Fate. And he was in this disco, and he said, I see you took me up on it. And I didn't know who this man was. But he reminded me that he had seen me 6 months before at the Vonda Shepard show in Pasadena, California.
Then you hooked up with Barry Harris.
Hooked up with Barry Harris through my manager at the time.
And then through that, with the collaborative efforts with you and him, Dive into the Pool.
Yes.
And I Got My Pride.
Yes.
Both number ones on the Hot Music Dance Charts.
Yes, on the dance charts, but also Dive in the Pool was in Queer as Folk, the TV show.
Now, did that even make the song even blow up even more?
I had people literally in Hollywood that I was singing for at the time calling me and say, is that you doing that song? And I told them, yeah, it's me. They couldn't believe it. And they remembered the name Peper Mashay because I used to do spot showcases around LA.
Where did the name Peper Mashay come from?
A producer by the name of Michael O'Hara had came out to Los Angeles in '93 to produce my first initial demos for dance music. And he just basically said, Jean McClain is a good name, don't get me wrong, and it's got a lot of history to it, but you need something a little bit more flashy. So we were standing behind my backyard near my pool in LA, and we were just going through names, and I had always told him, I like the name Pepper. He says, you know what, that sounds real good because it reminds me of your freckles, because I've got really a lot of freckles around underneath my eyes, like little peppercorn. So I said, well, if we're going to call it Pepper, the first part of the name, how about Mashay be a play off of Paper Mashay? It'll be like a playoff of the whole word. So I said, well, I don't mind as long as it's spelled like a regular name, which is the Mashay. And that's how we came up with the name.
That is beautiful. Those freckles, they've got more significance. What's the name of your record label?
Freckle Bandit Records.
Freckled Bandit Records. That is too many things. Now, how did you go? Why did you go about making a record label?
Now that came about in '01, darling. I was approached to do a fundraising song out of San Francisco that went awry. And because the people that wanted me to deal with them on the record, they weren't straight up. I basically just took the idea of what they had came with, which was, it was almost like a gay anthem that they wanted me to come up with. And what I told them, well, wouldn't it be great if we could take the Pledge of Allegiance and turn it into an anthem, a gay anthem, which we did, and I call it I Pledge. And it's basically telling everybody
that went to #1 too, didn't it?
No, that's split on the Billboard panel.
Okay.
Because when you're going up the charts on Billboard, you have all these all the different ones, the straight and the gay. It went half and half. 50 played it and 50 didn't. The gay ones did, the straight ones didn't.
Now there's a lot of politics when it comes to Billboard.
A whole lot of politics.
Now how did Lost Your Mind? How did that get to Billboard to be #1?
I would have to say, it's a lot of boiler room, and what I mean by boiler room, it's almost like regular politics. It's like getting with a delegation of people and literally staying on the phone and hawking your song to these people and telling them that they have to, keep it up on the chart for a certain amount of time. And in the meantime, there's a little bit of money being exchanged in riding that wave to keep it up there. But unbeknownst to you, a lot of the DJs are also producers, and they're doing a lot of work for the major labels. So it really doesn't really amount to much at the end of the day anymore. It used to be a powerful tool to get more exposure out of yourself, but for me, it's basically everybody knows who I am. They just want good music, and as long as I can get it to the DJs, all the DJs all over the world, they'll play my record.